Hi, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And it is my absolute honor to introduce Donna Sookraj. Have I pronounced that right?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
So amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and to be interviewed. And I know I got to meet you a couple of weeks ago at Activate, and
Oh,
another one from Canada. Canada's on my heart today. Every single person that I've interviewed today has been from Canada and
really?
has been absolutely had so many amazing stories. And Donna, I know that you have an amazing story of how you actually came to find GPA. And tell me a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and how you got introduced to GPA.
Well, I'm Donna. I'm from Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada, and I'm married. We've been married 40 years, and
Oh,
we have two children who are actually in Alberta, Canada. They just got married. One got married last year, and one got married this year. So our family's expanding. I've been doing entrepreneurial things since I tried to do a children's music program, and I was an early childhood educator, so that's kind of where I was. And then somebody found me and introduced me to an MLM with essential oils. And so as part of that, you get lots of personal growth going on. And then I thought, wow, this is harder than I thought. So then I started, especially in the last season, I started doing things online and trying to find out, like, how do I do this online? How do I meet people online? And I'm kind of more of an introvert, very have to process everything and figure out everything as a teacher, also wanting to figure everything out. But I would say before I got to GPA, I was still struggling with kind of having a voice, having how to shine for Jesus without being arrogant or something, because I kind of had those mindsets that, yeah, you have to kind of be reserved and be, more like Mother Teresa and things like that. But I also had the Princess Diana kind of thing too, that I wanted to know that, I'm worthy of like God's created me for a reason, designed me. So, yeah, before discovering Girl Power Alliance, I was part of another marketing group, and they introduced me to Girl Power through that. And then I kept looking and seeing, wow, like they're actually caring for people. Even your posts were, I saw some of your posts, and then I started seeing Nicole Ross posts, and she had something called Release Your Radiance. And I thought,
mhm.
that's interesting. Like, how's that going to happen? So I joined that, and I just felt so, there was something about the way it was presented, because it's all from the company, and she has gone through all the things that just drew me into realizing that I can release my radiance, because God's helping unlock, things that have been stuck, where I've struggled with fear and, fear of what people will think, fear of saying the wrong thing. So even in our marriage, I was kind of like, I like peace. So I was trying to be the peacemaker, but I realized I wasn't really saying when things bothered me and things like that, or saying what God's put on my heart, things like that. I just kind of kept it all, kind of wrote about it. I like writing and things like that. And just working with the children, trying to also, God was revealing things about a child in me as I'm trying to help the children express themselves. And how you do that. Sometimes you have other people, you're helping them do what you need healing for, or something like that. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's a little bit about me.
that's brilliant. That's really good. I love what you say about, like, God bringing out the child in you, the little girl in you. And it's
Yeah.
like, have you done Radiant Leadership Academy yet?
Yes, I have. Yes, actually, I'm in my second time around. with it. And yeah, so much good things about how I've been stuck in a certain place, like with money. Right now we're on the money one. So
Yes, me too.
realizing that, your background, the way you grew up. I kind of grew up with my mom. She liked music and she was doing like a music in the home and that kind of thing. She had being a home ec teacher, but she kind of left that and did things in the home. And my dad was the earner. And so I kind of thought, well, that's the pattern. So when I tried to start doing a business, I still had the mindset, but really I don't have to because my husband's,
Mm.
earning money. And so it's been a kind of a breakthrough to say, yes, I can. Yes, I can. And yes. And I really want to make impact, but I also realize I do the impact. Like you can make an impact by helping other people make an income because money is important too. So, and I've learned a lot about money through Carissa Quaddy, who she has a program in our classes in
Mm.
GPA.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so just those kind of unlocking places where we've been stuck because of things that are in our family background and things like that. So
Yeah. And I love what you said about that, about like bringing out the child in you, because it's like sometimes
yeah,
for me, like when I did Radiant Leadership Academy, God almost had to take me back to really specific times where
yes,
maybe
yes.
my parents or my grandparents had said
Mhm.
something about
Yes,
not just about money, but about people that had money, and almost like,
right.
and
Yes.
very often I think they were throwaway comments that had
Hmm.
just been
Hmm.
passed down through generations,
Right.
and I remember really clearly like listening to my nana, saying about, oh, it's all right for them and they're born with a silver spoon in their mouth and they've never had to work for
Yeah.
anything and they're
Yes.
like hoity-toity because they're rich.
All right.
And it was very much kind of, and I don't think she realized the
Mhm.
judgments that were kind of coming out with some of the things, and they really were just throwaway comments. And I don't think she had anything in her heart against people that had money. But when
Right.
you're growing up, it's almost like, oh, then it must be a wrong thing to actually want to be wealthy or want to earn more money. And so
Yeah.
you almost kind of put a lid on that because you don't want to go
Hmm.
against your
That's
almost
right.
like family values of like,
Yes.
oh, well,
Yes.
if that's how they see rich people, I then shouldn't want to become rich,
Hmm.
and shouldn't want to
That's
go in
right.
that
Yeah.
direction. And so you put a lid on without ever
Yes.
realizing, and God was taking me back and just sort of like, did you realize that you put a lid on that?
Hmm.
Actually,
That's
that is
so
what is
true.
in your heart to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, and what I realized too is it's because of their era they were in too. They had to be more frugal. And so I heard that word a lot, frugal, and I saw my dad using duct tape for things, that are falling apart, but yet he was like kind of eyeing people who were having a yacht or something like that, right? And so
mm,
I was confused. We're doing a thing about how do we relate to money, and I would say I had more confusion the first time around, but I still have some confusion that's kind of stuck in me that when God shows me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I just release that to you and help me, weave it the way you want it and what's true in the Bible that's about money. Um, and then I heard Lisa say that it's a measurement. It's a measurement of value. And so then that becomes more like, oh, okay, it's not such a big strange thing or something.
that's
Yes. So yeah, so much good um unlocking kind of things that happen in Radiant Leadership Academy. So
brilliant. I love that course. And it's
yeah.
funny when you're saying about like, the generational thing of being frugal. And it's like, and
Yeah.
I remember maybe about 10 years ago, we went away on a family holiday. And you know, when you get through, you get to the airport and you've got to go through security. And my
Yes.
mum, it was the funniest thing ever because like my mum has got a bottle of water that she'd refilled with water from the tap.
Oh,
We got
yes.
to security and she's
Yeah.
passing this water around to all the kids, all to all
Oh,
grandkids, and she's like, drink up
yes.
because we can't take it through.
Make sure you don't
And
waste it.
so, and I'm saying to my mom, like, what are you doing? And she said, what
Yeah.
do you mean? And I'm like, you literally have a free bottle because you've already drunk what was in that. I said, so the bottle didn't cost you anything. You filled it up with water from the tap.
Yeah.
I said, and now you are passing it around to everybody to kind of drink it up because you don't want to waste it and you don't want to throw it
Yes.
away.
Yes.
And I love that about my mom. But I'm
Yeah.
saying to her, I'm
Yes.
like, I said, so
Mhm.
what are you doing? And she's like, I didn't even realize that I was doing that. And it's like, it's free. Like, we'll buy
Yes.
another one.
Yes.
And it's that
Yeah.
kind of whole
Yes.
thing of like, it is that generational thing. But
Yeah.
God gets to, I get to have my own kind of mindset around money that's not my mum's, that's not my nan's,
Right.
that's not
Right.
my grandparents, that's mine, that was
Yes.
given to me. And I think that's what he's doing with you. It
Yes.
does create this almost like cognitive dissonance of like, why am
Mhm.
I confused about this? Because
Yeah. That's
this is
right.
what I've been told growing up. This is what's in the Bible. Now, where do I stand on this?
Yes. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. And then now, after having been to Activate, I really want that for other women. Like, I want them to feel that safe place. I mean, that's what I felt right away with Nicole. And then I felt like she didn't just leave me, like she kept following up. She kept, I wrote something about after Activate. I said, this is my story, this is my song. So, I put out beautiful things about the crown and the dress, but I said, behind the smile, behind the dress, someone came to bless women in their distress, in their pain. They were cheering them on again and again. And the key is courage to face the truth, to release your sound with newfound confidence. So
Wow.
that's kind of what she also had something called Release Your Sound. And so then that was like what I have that God tells me is important rather than, oh, you need to be, quiet to just process it yourself and don't bother telling anybody about it. But then
Yeah.
I've found as I release my sound in safe places, then I find it does weave together with somebody else's story, and then, God helps us get to a better place. And I really like that with GPA too, that there's no competition in the kingdom. And then I saw that at Activate. I went, oh, really? There probably is. But at Activate, everybody was just like praying for each other and caring and cheering each other on. And even Michelle said, like, you might see people walking across the stage and your heart might say, oh, yeah, I wish that was me. But then she said, like, actually put yourself there, that, that God's showing you that this is possible for you. And really, the most important thing is the impact. Like, you can make an income and that's wonderful. But I heard her say too, the most important thing is the impact, like all these lives that have been changed, and that's my heart.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think for me, one of the things that I said right at the beginning of starting this is like, because I came in to GPA in the back of Radiant Leadership Academy. And,
Okay.
and I said, I would promote this like for free. I'd like, even if I didn't get paid,
Yes,
I would
yes,
promote this because it's like, it is the impact of transformation that women go through when they
yes,
start to recognize their identity of who they are,
that's
like you
right.
said, as a daughter of the King in
Yeah,
God, and they
yeah.
start to walk in that identity.
Hmm.
And I mean, I remember my husband sending, he sent a message to Michelle about 6 months into, me being in
Yes,
GPA.
yes.
And it's like, And he said, "Thank you so much for what you're doing in GPA because of the transformation I've seen in my wife, and she has been praying for this for years, and she's
Oh,
found a
wow.
home." And
Yeah,
that broke me because I'm like, oh, it
yeah,
blessed me so much that Tim
yes,
would take the time
yeah.
by
Oh,
himself just to send a message to say thank you so much.
mhm.
And it's like, and I hear from your story that's like you're an introvert, you weren't very confident, and it's like
Oh,
even doing
yes,
this interview now and me interviewing you, it's like
right.
you are
Yeah.
probably kind of like, what am I doing? But on the outside, I bet there's a time that you would have said no to this interview. And,
Oh,
oh
yes,
no,
right.
there's no way.
Yeah, yeah, no, somebody else, yeah. Yeah, and definitely that has happened with my husband too, as I realized that, it's important that I say when things bother me rather than keeping them inside,
Yeah,
uh, in a saying the truth in love kind of thing, and sometimes in a way more assertive way than I was before, probably over too much the other way, but, um, it definitely has improved our relationship, not, when I was like, "Oh, no, no, I need to be peaceful as, representing Christ," but then I realized God doesn't want us to keep things like under the rug where we get lumpy
yeah,
rug things
yeah,
and everybody's tripping over them and going, "What was that?"
yeah,
And it's better to, address it at the time, which I feel like I have so many tools from Radiant Leadership
yeah.
Academy, and then I see other women breaking through, places, where they've just felt they had to be quiet or they couldn't deal with something. And so now I feel a lot more like I can bring other women to the table and God will help them. Like before, I also used to feel like, and especially as a teacher, I used to feel responsible for the children. And if they went off kilter, then must be something wrong with me or any, or friends or whatever. Now I realize I give them back to God, like, through
So
forgiveness and through just realizing it's not my responsibility, which is a big weight off, off our shoulders to
yeah,
realize that God is orchestrating things behind the scenes. And
so good. That's so.
so,
Was there ever a time when you thought, mm, leadership is not for me? Was there ever a time when you thought, really? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
yes, yes, I do. Yeah.
yeah. So, what made you think about doing Radiant Leadership Academy? What was it
Yeah.
that brought you to doing that?
Well, I did feel a bit like Moses, like, well, I'm quiet but I have had touches of leadership and I felt, but then, things would happen. Like I was in a women's ministry and I thought I was leading, and then somebody, took over and I had no kind of voice there or something. And I was like, oh, I thought you were kind of talking to me, God, about sharing this and, those kind of things. So I wanted to have tools and just be more equipped to even lead in my family or in with my friends, or when they have more difficult, challenging things going on. And I realized before I would just close the door. I'm like, no, I'm not going to deal with that. And then, through the radiant, release your radiance. Then right after that was uh, Radiant Leadership Academy. And I wanted to be with Nicole because like I've already gone through the journey with her and she's, caring for me. And then a lot of the other women were now part of my family tree now. And I met them at Activate. It was so fun.
I love Nicole. She's amazing.
Yeah. And it was just like we were cheering her on. She was cheering us on. She put the crown on my head. It was just like, um, and still cheering me on, like, and wanting all that God has for us to be soaring. kind of thing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And I
brilliant.
just love listening to the stories. I was part of the Radiant Speaker Academy, but I knew I couldn't do everything, like be part of the Kim
Me
10 right
too.
now because there was just way too much
Mm,
goodness. It was all good, but I limited myself. And I'm also with money, I'm trying to limit not just doing everything right away because my
yeah.
husband's also going like, you're investing, where's the, you're sowing, where's the reaping? So I like the bootstrap, not bootleg, bootstrap, the bootstrapping, bootstrapping.
Yeah, I love that. That
Yeah,
concept.
like see how God is bringing abundance to you, and then using it, and then teaching other women to do that. Because I wasn't really taught about money, I just kind of assumed it was there or somebody else was making it, or that I did as a teacher. I made money and things like that, but I was never really looking at every penny kind of thing. It just was,
Yeah,
I just didn't know. I didn't know how to handle money, so I just was confused. And
yeah, that's
I really,
brilliant.
so
And
yeah.
I love that you're sort of like so vulnerable in sharing your story and your heart on that, because it's like sometimes we
Yes.
don't know what we don't
Yeah.
know.
Right. Right.
And if we grow up thinking that the rich will always have money, and it's not for us,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we don't do our due diligence and steward the money that we have well,
Right.
so that we
Right.
can learn about it.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. Or other things too, because I remember we just went through the habits thing again, and realizing how hard it is to change those habits. I mean, I went through it the other time and I did, some things, but then I'm like, okay, I'm still not drinking my water enough. Like, how can I get that? I still have some disorganization and things, and um, just it's hard to get unstuck. And so that's why we have all the affirmations that we say, 10 times a day. I realize, it's the reprogramming, it's the believing with God what, like my favorite one is I was created to do hard things and I was created for great things. So
yeah,
yeah. So
absolutely. And then what I love about them is that they all have a Bible verse somewhere attached to.
yes, yes,
So
yes,
you're
that's
actually speaking out God's truth over your life. So
yes. Yeah, I see you're looking up. You have yours up
I've got
too.
mine up here.
I
I've got
have mine
mine
up
kind of
here
pinned up
too.
here.
I have mine up here too. Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's so good.
all these
So
tools are so important to make the changes to be a better us.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's so good. But listen, thank you so much. I'm excited to see what you're going to do next in Radiant, in Girl Power Alliance. I'm sure. I
Yes.
can't wait to hear
Yeah.
your Kim 10 when you start getting to that point of doing it at some point. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see what God's going to do in you and through you in
Yeah.
Girl.
Have you done the speaking part of it
I
too?
haven't. I haven't
No.
done that. I was going
Yeah.
to, but the
Yeah.
times were at 1 o'clock in the morning, my
Oh
time.
well,
And so
that takes
I'm like,
a lot of commitment.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just at a point of like, no, because I also work full time
Yeah.
as well. So
Oh well.
it's like, I
Wow.
need to
Wow.
steward my time well.
So that's another thing that people can be balancing,
Mm,
in their, I know Nicole says in their cracks of time, they can, you know, reach out to people. And yeah, I'm going to try to do some in-person things here and
amazing.
bring people to the table, kind of a table of strength and dignity, restoring strength and dignity kind of thing. I've just kind of been thinking about that today. So
That's brilliant. Well, I'm excited to come out to Canada at some point, and I know
oh,
you will.
yes.
Whenever that is, whenever you know
Yes.
that
Mhm.
happens. We should have been coming out there in 2020. We'd got all the tickets booked, and then we should have been
Really?
coming out in
Oh,
May, and then everything got
well,
locked down.
yes.
So
Oh, well.
I know that I get to come out to Canada at some point.
Yeah. So that's got to be redeemed, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh,
so many
Oh,
places I get to go. So thank you so much for joining me, Donna. I'm
oh,
really proud of you for doing
oh,
this, for
thank you.
being
Thank
interviewed and agreeing to do this. And
yeah,
as I say, I'm looking forward to seeing what God does in and through you in Girl Power
yeah.
Alliance. So thank you for joining.
I'm looking forward to seeing what God does for you in Girl Power Alliance.
Thank
And that's so great that you're representing England. And I know you've done
you.
some
Yeah.
in-person things there too. So
Yes.
great.
Yeah. So I'm doing some of them. So thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay.